it's Tony Tattoo, and this is Wide Open YYC. We're in the fantastic Kildares Pub in the deep southwest of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I have a couple things to talk about today because I just can't keep up with the stupid shit that's going on these days, and I hate that I have to get angry about this shit. Our paid employees are at it again. That's right, Prime Minister Duckface, Secretary, stepped down from his post, who happened to be the longtime friend and confidant of the Prime Minister. Ruh-roh! I guess he didn't want to be indicted in the SNC Lavalin case. Oops. Here's an interesting fact that I'm trying to wrap my head around. The Quebec Pension Fund owns the majority shares of SNC Lavalin. Now it's starting to become clear. And who's one of SNC Lavalin's biggest clients? Well, that would be Saudi Arabia. Now I'm beginning to understand why Quebec is against the Energy East pipeline. So what's going to be next? We're going to have an Energy West pipeline, which is going to bring Saudi oil to Western Canada. Really, I mean, that's the way it's going. And what's next? I'd just like you to connect the dots. Always follow the money, you'll always find the truth. Our brave citizens, over 200 trucks, descended on Ottawa last week and deserve a lot of credit. I was surprised to notice that our Prime Minister wouldn't give them the time of day, or any of the Liberal government. But the opposition party, realizing an opportunity, gave them all the time in the world and actually addressed them, gave them a chance to speak. So whose party is disconnected? Would it be the Liberal Party now? I would say so. Or the Conservative Party, who basically is a party of the people who want to bring prosperity to Canada, and right now, from my angle, we don't look too prosperous. So we're expected to respect the PM belief system. The belief that you have to respect everyone's opinions is bullshit. No, you don't. And that's what gets us into trouble. You have to acknowledge people's beliefs and reserve the right to go, that's fucking stupid. Are you kidding me? Prime Minister, step down ASAP. We have a great show coming up for you today. Subscribe to our YouTube show and also join us for the conversation on Twitter and Instagram.
Hello and welcome to Alternatively. I'm your host Adam for this segment of Wide Open YYC. I am joined by Tony Tattoo, of course.
My brother, how you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Excellent.
So your monologue today was, again, as always, interesting. But I want to latch on to one thing that you said near the end of it, which is that the belief that you have to respect everyone's opinions is crap. Do you care to...
expand on that?
Yeah.
Opinions, in my opinion, are like assholes. Everyone has one, they all stink.
Okay.
And so...
Even yours?
Absolutely. I'm not saying that everybody has to respect my opinion. We have to acknowledge opinions, and we also have the right to agree or disagree.
Yeah. I guess my question is, what do you mean by acknowledge? Like, oh, okay, you have an opinion, like that's it?
Absolutely, and then you decide.
But that's nothing, right?
You decide or determine whether you agree with it or you don't.
Right, but the part that bugs me...
Is there a law out there that says I have to respect opinions?
No, there's no law
is there an unwritten
regarding
law
what we're talking about right now.
Is there an unwritten law that says I have to respect opinions?
There's societal expectations for sure. Like, if you tell somebody to fuck off, you can do that, but you're going to risk the repercussions of that.
Absolutely. Consequences come with everything we talk about.
Exactly. So, but my point is, or I guess what bugs me a little bit about it is, you have the right to disagree with someone, but the respect thing to me means that you've thought about somebody's opinion, where it's coming from, why they think that way, and you're empathetic enough to think about all that before you form your opinion of whether you think it's crap or not.
To me, respect is not given, it's earned. You will earn my respect by providing a dialogue.
So an average person off the street, no matter what their opinion is, you won't agree with it. Because they haven't earned your respect.
Didn't say that. I said you acknowledge opinion.
Right.
You acknowledge opinion, and then basically you can give yours. You have the right to disagree or agree. What
I want to get from this is making the decision to agree or disagree with somebody's opinion should involve a layer of empathy and a layer of respect Because otherwise, what are you basing your decision on?
My decision's decision's based on initial communication. So you're saying like there's a normal Joe on the street and comes up and starts talking to me or giving opinion. I will know within probably 3 seconds whether I think that's bullshit or not. Right?
Because whether it aligns with your already formed beliefs.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if he agrees with you, then his opinion isn't crap. That's what I'm getting to.
So yeah, but the whole thing is that isn't that what that's about?
No.
So you align yourselves with people. You
disagree with somebody without saying that their opinion is crap. That's the layer of respect of saying like, hey, I understand you. I understand where you've come from. I understand why you might have that opinion. I disagree for this and this and this reason. Is very different than saying to somebody like, oh no, your opinion's crap, just because I disagree with it.
That again goes back to the right to acknowledge an opinion and your right to how you feel about it.
Right, but I'm saying if your initial reaction is to just say if I agree with it or not, you're not really thinking about it. You're not really thinking about it from their perspective. It's important when you're having these discussions to put yourself in the other person's shoes, and if you know in the first 3 seconds if they just don't agree with you, then you don't respect them and you think their opinion's crap. I think that's a bad way to have these types of conversations. I think that's not going to be productive.
Well, that's productive for me because because listen, hang on to it, boy. It's like I said, I've met so many people in my life, different parts of the world, and had conversations, and so I can give you an example of a politician from the Cayman Islands. All right, so he basically had the opinion that, you expats, if you guys don't like our island and don't want, there's an airport, there's a plane taking off the day, get the fuck off my island. Should I respect that?
Well, I think
should I respect that?
No, it's not a yes or no question because my point is
absolutely.
Let me respond to you.
I acknowledged his opinion.
Let me respond to you, please.
Give me 1 sec. I acknowledged his opinion, and he's a dick.
My thought process would be, my first question to him is, why do you feel that way? Because maybe there is something we don't know that is informing his decision.
Because when you're on a work permit on the island, you have 0 rights. You have that many rights.
Okay.
None. Freedom of speech does not exist.
Okay,
right? So
you're getting too far into your example here because I don't know anything about it.
Well,
my point is,
if you travel to a different country and you're an expat, or if you're working within that country, you're there for
this is not
gainful
the important
employment.
part of the discussion.
No, I'm giving you an example of me processing what somebody's saying.
It doesn't matter the example. If someone says
it does matter the example.
If someone has an opinion that you immediately disagree with, the hope for me is that you would not immediately just be like, fuck you. You would be like, oh, why is he thinking that way? Obviously, that's different when it's something like completely hateful, like racism or...
No. Disagree, totally, 100%.
Okay.
Because right away, that guy put up a wall, and that didn't want to communicate with him
Well, yeah,
anymore.
no, that's fair. If
So I acknowledged it, and I took it for what it was, and it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Sure.
I don't need to dig into your mind and figure out where it's coming from.
If someone's being rude to you, absolutely disengage. But you applied this to a normal conversation, like a normal conversation that somebody could have. You said if someone says an opinion and you disagree with it, regardless of how they express that opinion.
That's not a normal conversation.
This
whole thing that I'm talking, my example was a normal conversation.
Right, but then how he presented his opinion was in an asshole fashion, right?
Absolutely.
And at that point, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with his opinion if he's just being an asshole, right?
So then you agree with me?
No, my point is...
You do.
I don't, Tony, and I'll tell you why. Because if someone presents their opinion in a polite and respectful way, and you disagree with it, and based off of you disagreeing with it, you say, oh, your opinion's crap.
How about somebody, like an example, again, there's a couple examples I can give you, but someone who has a strong opinion.
Sure.
like I said, I acknowledge it and give it its fair dues, and then it's basically if it's
The fair dues. That's what I'm talking about.
If it's bullshit, it's like this. All right, as far as I'm concerned, and I have no time for that person. So that was a normal conversation, and that's exactly what that guy was like.
Oh, okay, but to me,
there are people
it's not
that
a
are like
normal
that.
conversation when someone is rude to you. Like that's not a normal conversation.
But it is a conversation.
My point is,
It's a rude conversation.
if someone presents their point to you, not in a rude way, and you still just dismiss it outright because you don't agree with it?
No, then I would have a discussion, and basically you have two ways to get somebody to align their opinion with yours. Number one's by force.
That shouldn't be the goal.
Number one by force, or number
Why
two
is that your goal?
Or number two by negotiation.
Why is that your goal, to make their opinion, change their opinion to align with yours?
Oh, I didn't say that.
You absolutely said
I didn't.
that.
I didn't say for it to align with mine.
Yeah, you did. We have it on tape.
It would be more if my opinion aligned with theirs.
So you're saying you can only have conversations with people who agree with your opinions?
Oh, not at all. We're having one now.
Well, that's my point, Tony. Am
I disrespecting you?
No.
And am I going, that's crap?
Well, you did say a couple times like, oh, so you agree with me, which isn't super respectful.
Well, you did kind of.
No, I didn't. This is my point. Oh, God. I guess we can leave it with agree to disagree on this one.
Sure.
But I hope that the takeaway for anyone watching is try to treat everyone with respect. Granted, there are situations where people prove that they don't deserve respect, whether they're yelling at you and being rude, or whether their opinions are based off of things that can't be controlled, like race, gender, sexuality, things like that. But overall, I would hope that the goal of humanity is to have a little more empathy and more respect for each other. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Tony.
All right.
Afternoon, folks. This is Sean Lee coming at you. Our segment is No Limits. We're here at Kildare's Pub once again. Miss Jamie Stern will not be joining us today. She's a little under the weather. So today it'll be myself, Adam, and Eric.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. So today we're going to discuss a few little things in the news going on. Jussie Smollett seems to be the center of attention these days with his the guy from the hit series Empire, thank you. I was trying to remember the name of the show. Apparently he staged a hate crime, paid some guys $3,500 to make it look like he got beat up, and basically turned himself in. And now he's going to court and is going through a bunch of legal stuff. So kind of wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, boys.
I heard that he's going to be facing, the charges could be up to 3 years.
In jail.
It's a pretty serious federal charge, if I'm not mistaken.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, in case you don't know what happened, he paid a couple guys to put a noose around his neck, give him a little beating, which I don't know how serious the beating was, because from what I've heard, it was a couple of scratches on his face. I think if someone wanted to beat him up really bad, it would have been worse than a couple scrapes on his face. Probably would be in the hospital with broken limbs. But yeah, so now we're getting into racist hate crimes to up his pay on the show. That didn't quite work out for him, so unfortunately, yeah, it's gotten to that point, it's gotten that bad.
And glad it didn't. I mean, let's be honest, that's a pretty low and disgusting thing for somebody to do.
It is.
Well, that's the thing for me is like he's being shredded on social media and in the news circuit right now, which rightfully so, he did a horrible thing. But I hope that doesn't take away from the fact that there are many, many, many cases of hate crimes, and they've gone up since 2016.
Correct.
When Trump was elected.
Yeah.
I read a stat that there's been 21,000 crimes against visible minorities in those 2 years, and 50 were staged or a hoax, or it ended up being something else.
Yeah.
So to me, that like tiny fraction, like 0.02%, should not be what we're talking about. We should be talking about the fact that so many people are being assaulted for who they are.
Yeah, exactly. It's a true thing. Unfortunately, those are, the minority is the ones that are the staged, but there are a lot of real, in fact, crimes like this going on, which is, like I said, society's actually come to that, and I think it's pretty disgusting.
And the problem with, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, well, the problem with what he did is it takes away from the meaning and the importance of hate crimes being just that, hate crime, something that's completely offside, something that nobody should be a victim of, nobody should participate in, yet he devalues the meaning of it.
Yeah,
I mean, if anything, it's done the exact opposite of what he intended it to do.
Well,
aside from the salary, he just wants to
himself,
he wants to get
right?
freaking paid, right? Like,
You're exactly right. Like, that wasn't on his mind. The fact that he could give a reason that racist people and homophobic people could point to of saying, see, it's all fucking fake. Like, that I really hope that that's not the case. But on the other side of that, I feel like people have been way more likely to vilify him because he is a visible minority.
Fair.
Rather than like all the straight white men that commit crimes and it just kind of flies under the radar.
Under the radar, yeah, exactly.
And
it's definitely.
I'm not discounting what he did at all. It was a horrible thing that affects more than just himself. It affects the global mindset of these types of crimes. But yeah. I
mean, my issue with this is somebody crying wolf when it's not true, trying to do it for his own personal gain, which at the end of the day, look, the only thing, and this is something I just heard about. I'm pretty uneducated, to say the least, about this, but from kind of a raw perspective, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, why would this guy do this? I mean, let's be honest.
For money.
Right?
It's
This
like
guy,
everybody does
like anything,
these
he does
days.
he
It's all
does
about
this for money.
Yeah.
And it does.
I wonder if it's part of being in Hollywood that, like, to him this was just a publicity stunt.
A ploy to get attention.
Like, he didn't think of the repercussions, obviously,
Clearly,
because
Absolutely, yeah. Well, of course, it's all about attention. It's all about upping his wage on the show.
I mean,
Obviously,
and if he spent $3,500, maybe get a professional and spend $5,000 or $10,000. Like, come on, if you're gonna pull a stunt like this, at least buck up.
Make it look good, right?
Right?
Absolutely. Another thing I kind of want to touch on a little bit. I see this over the news. This woman from Hamilton, who went back to her old country her husband was ISIS. And now she's trying to get back into the country. Have you guys read about this?
This is in the UK.
This
isn't in Hamilton. No, yeah.
Oh, no, she was born, apparently, I read up on her. Apparently she was born in Hamilton.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
Apparently.
she's a UK citizen, though.
Oh, is she?
And she's
Okay.
trying to get back into the UK.
Oh, okay. I thought she was trying to get back into Canada, because I know the States.
We might be talking about two different things,
different
but
things
she
I'm
was
thinking
pregnant and she was married off to someone in ISIS. Is that what it was?
I think it might be the same one. I know it's been on the news for the last couple of days. I just read up a little bit on it yesterday. And
I read something interesting about that one is the fact that the UK government is trying to suspend her citizenship to the UK.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, yeah, good, they should. She chose to be involved with this terrorist organization, blah, blah, blah. But then I read a really awesome take on just the fact of, like, that has never happened before in first world countries. That's not the right, developed nations, I guess.
Developing nations, yeah.
Developed nations is that taking away someone's citizenship is denying them due process. It's denying them, they're being found guilty before they've been afforded any rights as a citizen.
Right.
And to do that is opening up a very dangerous door that could affect a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing I know about this situation. But I thought that was startling that they would, like, there are murderers in jail who were afforded due process and tried and convicted, and they're just writing this person off as, like, she could have been groomed from a young age, and I think there was evidence that she was, and maybe through the court system they wouldn't have found that she was had her faculties and all that kind of stuff. But even if she was found guilty, she deserves the process.
Yeah, well, she has those rights. For me, honestly, it's just like she went over there and supported her ISIS husband or whatever, and now she wants to come back in with her kids. And like, I'm not prejudiced. I believe everybody deserves a fair chance at life, but honestly, I just don't see the logic in this. Like, we have soldiers, that have fought in the war, that are living on the streets, that are, vets and stuff that can't afford, meals, and then we're, bringing in these people, giving them cars and everything else. I know it sounds horrible to say that.
I don't think it sounds horrible. I think
there's got to be a line. There's got to be a line somewhere.
She is a citizen of that country, so even like take away everything else, she is the responsibility of that country. For them to say, "Oh, you're no longer a citizen. You're stuck in Saudi Arabia or wherever she was." Imagine that was the case of someone from the States comes to Canada and murders somebody, and the States is like, "No, we're revoking his citizenship. We're not taking him back."
There's a little bit of political interference going on here, right? I mean, there's some posturing of saying, okay, well, we're going to stand against ISIS in particular. We're going to stand against allowing convicted terrorists or those related to be welcome to our country. Okay, whatever. All that being said, I agree with you 100%. She does deserve due process for whatever it may be, whatever her position, whatever has happened to her in her life that was by her choice or not.
Yeah.
Due process, right? I mean that's what democracy's founded upon. The legal system's founded upon is due process.
Nailed it.
Okay, so
take that away, and so many other things will start to crumble.
And you know what? If she's done horrible things, fine. Off you go.
Totally.
Whatever. Or convict her.
Convict her, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
preferably whichever country that's footing the bill isn't Canada, because we foot the bill for enough prisoners, as does every other country. But I mean, whatever the end result is, it's a process.
If it's a Canadian citizen that we're talking about, I think this one is British, but if it were a Canadian citizen, that's the Canadian government's responsibility then to foot the bill, is it not?
Put her in jail, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Revoke her citizenship and send her back, and maybe create another can of worms with, now you have a woman that's bitter, jaded, and wants to do nothing but come back here and do whatever it is that she's going to do. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
I can't speak on her behalf. I've never met the lady.
I'm way less concerned about these individuals as I am about the effect that it could have on
the big picture.
Yeah, the big picture of
picture,
our justice system is designed to try someone. Like, you cannot put someone in jail without trying them. That's the difference between an authoritarian nation and the democracy that we choose to have, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, agreed.
I'll tell that to our Prime Minister, SNC Lavalin, political interference. Being interviewed and then having those interviewing cut off the mic so that they can't.
You should get on Tony Tattoo's segment.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you guys could go deep into that one for sure. Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. Yeah. Everybody deserves to be heard. Everybody deserves the right to
and
that.
I'm not denying
to that freedom of speech.
I agree
but
with that. Just seems to be a lot. It seems to be a lot more weighing towards their benefit than ours.
I always find the freedom of speech argument interesting, because people usually use the freedom of speech argument to defend horrible things that they're saying.
Absolutely.
And to me, yeah, you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want, but that doesn't negate the consequences of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So like if somebody says like, hey, we're not gonna host your hate rally and let you spout hate speech on our college campus, it's like, I get that. Mm-hmm. But then people go into like, well, they're blocking free speech. It's like, no, they're just blocking you from having this public forum exactly to spew hate speech. To me, if they want to jump on a camera and upload their shit to the internet or any other way that they can through their own means, they can still do that.
Yeah. And everybody has that right, so fair enough. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you to Eric and to Adam for joining us on this segment. We will be back next time. I hope you're all staying safe and warm. Take care.
You know what I got in my email the other day? I got a notification saying Calgary FC's first home game is May 4th. We're here at Kildare's. I could basically throw a beer can and hit the field. This is Everett, the GM here at Kildare's. Do we have anything planned for this?
We've been in staunch negotiations with the local football club, our newest professional sports team franchise in the city. Out of Spruce Meadows, location of course helps because we are close. Can't really comment too much more on that because details are to follow. Very excited to partnership with this football club, and obviously soccer is a growing sport, and it's long overdue that we had a stadium that we could play out of. So
absolutely. As soon as I live in Silverado, I live right close to this fine establishment. I was very excited to see that. I did see the other day they had a pub night at Rosencrown, which, if I'm not mistaken, is an affiliate of Kildare's.
Excellent.
Could we be seeing possibly something like that at this establishment?
Without a doubt. They had a meet and greet with the players down at the Rosencrown on Thursday night. And I would imagine that we would be having the players here as well. We already have an in with Spruce Meadows, so it's a great working relationship.
Awesome, and that's great too. I mean, we're talking a meet and greet, we can get autographs. This is a family-friendly establishment, so we have families coming down here with their kids, meeting these players before they go to the game so they know who they're cheering for. I mean, that I think is one of the big advantages of this place. So we can come here before the game, we can get some great food. Are we talking maybe any game day specials, pre or post game? Or?
Well, again, it's a little premature to get into a lot of the details.
Fair enough.
But it would definitely be, their games are on Saturdays around 3 o'clock, so we'd probably throw on a buffet-style breakfast for extremely cheap, just to get people in. Maybe a couple primers, and perhaps...
Some bangers and
Should I drop the clue? A hint? A hint?
I think we should.
Maybe a march to the game, perhaps.
A march to the game?
Perhaps.
Perfect.
Perhaps.
I was thinking about this myself because I plan on walking to the games. I mean, we could take the main road. I know we got a little marsh in between Silverado and Spruce Meadows.
Hopefully nobody gets lost.
I was thinking about buying one of those boats that you kick with your feet, or maybe some hip waders to save some time. But if we got a full march, hey, that could be a lot of fun. Bring a couple brown bags for the journey, maybe.
As long as you're not too sober by the time you get there, right? Still want to have that glow on with cheer on our voice. But they want to be accessible to the public, so that's part of what they're going to do. They're going to be very family friendly, and I'm very excited to work with these guys. They got really good heads on their shoulders.
Wonderful. A little bit of a side note, but kind of still sports, maybe sports entertainment. I was talking to you the other day. Family-friendly establishment.
Here we
Kids
go.
love wrestling.
Here we go.
I think we need to have a WrestleMania party here. I'd love to host it.
We'll
do a live, maybe a little simultaneous. I don't know.
This would have been something that I would have had no interest in even a couple of years ago. But now that I have a 7-year-old boy who is all about the WWE, I can see that there's definitely a market for it. And I'm sucked in. I've taken it hook, line, and sinker. I'm officially a WWE fan.
I am too, man. I talk to people and they say, well, you know it's fake. And I say, well, so's Breaking Bad. It's a television show, but besides all that other junk, I mean, I think this is a great establishment where we could have some great fun and parties with sports entertainment as well as sports with Calgary FC. Can't say enough about it. We're located down here in Silverado. We always thank you for allowing us to come here and do this kind of interview and whatnot.
Well, I can tell you that we have the best regulars in the city, without a doubt.
I am the best regular.
The people that sit at the wood at the bar on a daily basis are not only just lovely people, but they're fun, they're educated, they're relaxed. We're blessed to have the people in this area coming for sure.
I think it's a hand-in-hand relationship, and why the regulars are so good here is because you staff it so well and you keep a tight ship, but also a fun ship. So thank you very much.
I'm very grateful for the kind words, of course. I defer to my staff all the time. I can't do without them, obviously. Been doing this a long time, right back to 1982.
6 years before I was born.
Yes, I started as a busboy at a nightclub called Lucifer's for the hell of it. I was literally on the match packs.
By the way,
clearly don't see anymore.
have the fish and chips here. They make a halibut one. You order it
That can happen too. Yes.
just for the halibut.
Yes,
Ah.
just for the hell of it. Yeah, no, I'm also blessed because the owner operator is very wise in the ways of food, and you know, being the front man, more of a nightclub person. I'm more of a cocktail guy, so it's a really good match made in heaven, I would say. Do want to talk just a little bit about an endeavor I opened in 1998. It was called the Palace nightclub downtown on 8th Avenue Mall.
I've seen many a fine concert at that establishment.
It was built for vaudeville in 1920-ish. They had the Marx Brothers, Lena Horne, Fred Astaire.
Really?
Yeah. Ethel Barrymore, Drew Barrymore's grandmother,
Okay.
among others.
Not unfamiliar, but
Yeah, well,
okay.
obviously. It was more wartime stuff, and it was clearly built for, obviously, sightlines and projecting voices, although I'm told it's a tough room to do sound in. But yeah, we had some great concerts, and I was very fortunate enough to meet a lot of celebrities and professional athletes back in the day.
Who's you most? Who's not the best, but who are you most like puff the chest out? I met.
In my career, not that he played the Palace, but for me, it was Sammy Hagar. I was a huge fan of his from ever. And it was different because I'm writing the checks to these Billy Idol and George Thorogood, and having dinner with Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo and Roger Hodgson from the Supertramp, and that was all amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met Sammy and it was like a little schoolgirl.
He just seems like a cool
Oh my
guy.
God, is that it?
He just seems
really
like a cool
weird.
guy. He's hanging out in Cabo. He's got his own tequila. Have you seen him lately? He still looks amazing for his age. He's in his 70s and he still looks like he can out party everybody.
He's the man. He's 110% rock star. He's and engaging and no starhead. And when I met him, he was just like everything I thought he'd be like. What the hell is going on in here? And it's just like one of the guys, and obviously a legend, one of the best songwriters of all time. And I was all giddy. It's pretty strange.
Nice.
Yes, I still kind of feel that now, but, which is really bizarre. So yeah, I got to drink out of the Grey Cup with Jeff Garcia. I got to meet Donovan Bailey, fastest man on the planet at the time.
Donovan Bailey.
Yes.
I used to go to my grandparents' house in British Columbia for 2 weeks every single summer, and they only had the wire antenna cable. And 1996, all we had was the Olympics.
Right.
And I remember doing laps around their house, pretending I was Donovan Bailey, fueling up on Dr. Pepper and just jumping over hedges. I know he wasn't a hurler, but that 1996 Olympics was just something wild. Donovan Bailey, wow.
Yeah, no, it was WWE guys like Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret Hart. Scott, Razor Ramon, but the second guy.
See, there you go. Once again, let's get this WWE thing going here.
Yep.
This is Wide Open YYC. We've been talking with Everett, the GM here, down at Kildare's Pub in Silverado, Calgary. We want you guys to come down here. We're very excited, both management and fan and patron, to be part of this Calgary FC venture. Thank you very much for letting us use this great room.
Absolutely my pleasure, and this is what we do every day anyways, right? So.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks. Today I'm going to talk to you about how and why Donald Trump got elected as the President of the United States and how it's your fault. It's Dan's rant. Let's get into it. Latin communities, you're not allowed in social media or any media form these days to say, hey, ese with the lowrider, man, chico. It's an offensive stereotype. You shouldn't be doing it. The inner city black guy, yo, what's up? Let's go sell some rock. It's an offensive stereotype. You can't make fun of people based on the color of their skin, where they're from, how they speak, how they dress. It's offensive. Don't do it. Unless they're white people from the South or the Midwest. And then it's completely acceptable. Wait, what? Exactly. These people have been minimalized, subjugated to ridicule in all forms of media, and all of a sudden here comes this presidential candidate who says, I'm going to give you your jobs back. I'm going to give you your dignity back. So they start understanding and thinking, oh, you know, maybe this isn't such a bad idea. They throw on a red baseball cap that says, Make America Great Again. They walk down the street and says, hey, things are starting to look up for me. And what are they met with? You're an idiot, you racist bigot. I can't believe you'd vote for that moron, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to change anyone's mind by calling them names. You have to talk to these people. You have to understand how minimalized they've been, to understand why they would think voting for a guy like Donald Trump is a good idea. You need to talk to Canadians in music programs in college and junior high and understand that conservatives were cutting budgets for that and minimalizing that. So of course they say, oh, you know, the Liberals sound like a pretty good idea. You can't just call them idiots for voting for Justin Trudeau. You need to talk to them, understand what their issues are so you can amicably move forward and give them alternatives to bring them around to your point of view. Someone, a refugee from an Islamic state, moves to Canada, you scream in their face that they're a raghead camel fucker, and then they go and join ISIS and you're fucking shocked by that? What the fuck do you think is gonna happen? You call somebody a piece of shit, they're probably gonna act like a piece of shit. You need to talk to them, understand their issues so you can move forward and talk to them as humans so you can try to morph and change their opinions or give them alternatives even. Don't be a dick, talk to people, and maybe you'll get them to come around to your point of view. That's how you change the world. Don't live in your fucking bubble and pretend everything's okay. That's my rant for this week. Take care.
This is Tony Tattoo, and I have a challenge for you people this week. Do something kind for a stranger without the expectation of reward. And believe me, you'll be paid back tenfold. If nothing else, it'll make you feel good for a small bit of time, but what's wrong with that? Let us know how it works out. This was Wide Open YYC, and I'd like to thank Kildare's for allowing us to do our show here, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel or tell a friend to subscribe, and join us for the conversation on Twitter and Instagram.